Let's talk Tanya for the 14th of Tishrei, Erev Sukkos of a leap year. In yesterday's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe instructed his Chassidim that when they come to him and they enter into Yechidus, when they have a private audience with him, they should limit themselves to asking questions on Torah, asking questions regarding their service of Hashem. They should not ask him any questions on material matters, advice in business, in health, etc. The Alter Rebbe says this is something which the information in these areas is only for the prophets, and someone who's not a prophet, even if he may be a very wise person, even if he may be a great Torah scholar, just doesn't have the answers to these questions. And in today's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says, first of all, I want you to realize that I understand. He turns to Chassidim and he says, I understand that your desire to have your issues resolved, and when you're struggling, whether it's with health or financially or any other way, and you want to resolve the issue, it's not because you're materialistic people and you're simply living a life and you want to have a life of luxury and comfort for the sake of luxury and for the sake of comfort. Rather, the Alter Rebbe says, I understand this is all l'shem shamayim. It's for the sake of heaven. You want to serve God, and to serve God, it's easiest and simplest to do so when you have the resources to do so, when you have the money, when you have the health, when all of your the different issues that can be problems are resolved. Nevertheless, the Alter Rebbe says, you're making a mistake. Don't come to me and ask questions. Instead of trying to use supernatural ways to resolve these issues, learn to accept it all with love. Learn to accept whatever God gives you with love. Now, we'll continue on this topic tomorrow, in tomorrow's Tanya. What does it mean to accept with love? But first, we have to ask an obvious question, which is, the Alter Rebbe instructed his Chassidim that they should not come to him with their questions, seeking guidance in areas, material areas, health, business, etc. But we know, historically speaking, that even after the Alter Rebbe wrote this letter, the Chassidim continued to ask the Alter Rebbe these questions. And definitely in the generations that followed, in the Alter Rebbe's successors, the Rebbes that followed, it was common practice. Chassidim would come and they would ask the questions by their Rebbes in any area of life, not only areas of spirituality or Torah, but in all areas of life. And what's interesting is not only did the Chassidim ask these questions, but the Rebbes responded. So, number one, how is it the Chassidim continued asking these questions even after the Alter Rebbe told them not to? And number two, how are the Rebbes able to respond if the Alter Rebbe says that responding in these areas is something which only a prophet can do? So the Rebbe addressed this, and the Rebbe said that when the Alter Rebbe wrote to the Chassidim and said, you can only ask questions in material matters from a prophet, the Chassidim responded with a shrug. And they said, okay, Rebbe, you are everything to us. And if you are saying that in order for you to answer the questions that we have and to give us the guidance that we seek, in order for you to do that, you need to be a prophet, you need to be a Navi. Okay, Rebbe, you are a Navi, you are a prophet. And they continued asking their questions. In the words of the Rebbe, the Chassidim were not scared. They weren't frightened by what Alter Rebbe wrote. If the Rebbe needs to be a Navi, the Rebbe will be a Navi. And what's interesting, the Rebbe points out, is that the Rebbe's answered, which if you think about it for a second, what that means is essentially the Alter Rebbe was confirming his status as a Navi, as a prophet. Because the Alter Rebbe himself just said that only a prophet can answer these questions. So instead of the Alter Rebbe responding to the Chassidim saying, hey, I don't have the answer to that question, when the Alter Rebbe responded, as well as the Rebbes that followed, they were essentially confirming their status as Nevi'im, as prophets. The Rebbe points to a letter from the Rambam, where the Rambam writes that there is no doubt that the return of prophecy to Israel, to the nation of Israel, is something that will happen before Mashiach comes. Mashiach is coming very soon. And the Rebbe says prophecy has come back. It has come back through our Rebbes who are prophets, and through them we have the restoration of prophecy, and now we only await for the coming of Mashiach. Okay, but now we still need to go back to the original question, which is the Alter Rebbe advises Chassidim to accept whatever happens with love, but where exactly is the love in pain and suffering? And that we will address, God willing, in tomorrow's Tanya.